play things off
things.
where it's like, you didn't watch the full thing, so you don't know, so you can't criticize me, or it's tone police, I don't care, but it's like you're like sweeping under the rug all of other people's like criticisms or complaints that should be at least taken into account of, because that's like the response of the audience that should be with you, but you're giving them reasons to not be. And it's like how he treats that and like other things that
You gotta.
I think you need to
be
pay attention to
charitable
the full
here.
clip.
You got to understand, though, if you're being inundated with 500 requests for different views of like how it's clipped out of context and the rationale, can you explain this like 400 times? Like it's a lot, man.
Well,
that's a good thing.
As an example, he will go out of his way to intentionally be offensive. Or he'll try to be a sapper and go underneath someone's position to use explosives and blow out and not even have to engage with what they're talking about.
Yeah.
There's some things that he does, which sure you win, but at what cost? Now you could make
like what?
argument,
I mean, can I get a reference here? I'm just curious.
Times when someone else has a premise or they have a position and they are talking about that and he doesn't even engage with it. He just like makes some obscure point or goes into definitions, and the other person isn't even able to really make their case or get their argument out or unpack it. And the entire time they're being hounded by him, asking for definitions or doing other things. And it's kind of disingenuous and bad faith. But there's a difference between engaging with where they're weak versus just going underneath and doing stuff like with definitions.
What do you mean by going underneath? Can you kind of?
It's called sapping, where you have someone that's in a fortified position or they have their debate topic and that they've outlaid their army and they're all ready to fight you, but you are a sapper and you literally go underneath of their position, you plant mines and explosives and you blow them out so that their walls come crumbling down without actually having to engage them.
What you're using is a lot of labeling. Can you get to specifics? Can I get more specifics from you?
Specifics about what?
What does go underneath mean? I didn't get what you meant by go underneath.
Yeah, that's what I'm confused.
Someone's position where
when a man loves a
will
woman,
go the low road and attack their language or their definitions.
What's wrong with that?
Because it's intentionally throwing them off. It's intentionally throwing them off. It's bad faith.
No, it's supposed to.
That's a whole nother claim. So when I talk about definitions, because a wife to you may be different from wife to me, because a lot of people that have live in relationships and they'll say their girlfriend's their wife. They'll say, well, that's wife behavior, hence that's my wife.
Okay, do definitions matter? Yes. But should you ask what every other word means? No.
Depending on who you're debating,
necessary.
What do you mean by word?
What be wrong with that?
What do you mean by word?
Well, the fact that with what I'm saying,
what do you mean by definition?
Is you should be able to make that extrapolation.
What do you mean
by
what?
It's why it's a common complaint. You can try to logic bomb your way out of it. Like, sure, that's cool, but
that's what an argument is logic. What are you talking about?
You need to let me talk.
Yeah, I mean, I have been, but you've been crying.
If you tell me, I'm not crying. If you tell me that you want to hear about complaints and you want to hear about criticism, but then you try to logic your way out of all of it so you don't have to take any of it into account, then it's just disingenuous to even ask.
Wait, hold on. What I'm hearing is if you tell me that I need to explain and extrapolate and break things down, that's what I'm getting. Like, what's wrong with that?
I'm not saying there's anything wrong with doing that.
Well, can you explain how that doesn't appear like that on its face? I'm just curious.
You see how lost in the weeds from what I was originally talking about we are?
Well, yes, we're lost in the weeds because you used so what you're using is an approach. Because I'm still trying to understand. You know how he asked you what you mean by going underneath? Then I asked what you mean by going underneath, because we're not understanding with this definition. This is actually a primary case right now that I can present to you in real time, that you've presented me with an example that I can present to the whole room. When you say going underneath, we need to find out what the definition is, because nobody understands what you're saying. Well, at least another person besides me. Case in point, if we can't get past what that means, it's hard for us to get to avoid getting into the weeds. You see what I'm saying? And then
with the context of sapping, you should be able to understand what it means by going underneath a position.
If I asked 3 people what sapping would mean, do you think I would get 3 different definitions?
Well, I mean, they may not have a very good idea of like military tactics or strategy.
Right.
I get why you asked.
That proves my whole point. And we all need to get a clear understanding what this means.
You're good.
Good. I'm just trying to seek to understand.
No, I mean, yeah, in casual conversation. Like that's why I said you're good.